Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. Have you ever felt a deep heaviness in life that you just can't explain? You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep enough, but because something inside you feels heavy, something old, something deep. You make careful choices. You try to grow and heal, but somehow the same problems keep coming back, just wearing different masks. It can feel like you're paying off a debt you don't even remember owing. Every step forward still carries the weight of something unfinished. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, believed that the unconscious isn't just about our own buried memories. He said it's a huge space filled with stories, fears, wounds, and patterns passed down through generations. In that sense, karma isn't a punishment system from the universe. It's the emotional and spiritual weight of what hasn't been fully healed, understood, or released. But here's the good news. What if you have done the work? What if the old patterns are finally breaking? What if something lighter, more peaceful, is starting to enter your life? In today's video, we'll explore 4 powerful signs that your karmic debt has been cleared. These signs don't just show up in theory, they appear in your body, your relationships, and your inner world. If you've recently felt a calm you can't quite explain, or if life is shifting in mysterious but beautiful ways, you might already be free. We often imagine karma like a scoreboard. Good deeds on one side, bad on the other. But from Carl Jung's point of view, karma isn't about rewards or punishments. It's about memory, emotional, psychological, and ancestral memory that hides in our unconscious until we bring it to light. Jung believed our minds aren't blank slates. We inherit more than just eye color or personality. We also inherit fears, habits, and unresolved emotional energy from our families, cultures, and even our ancestors. These are karmic imprints, internal echoes of things that were never fully faced or healed. And they don't just live in our minds, they affect our decisions, our relationships, our dreams, and even our pain. Jung said the journey of the soul is all about becoming whole, what he called individuation. That means learning to accept and integrate every part of yourself, especially the parts you've been avoiding or pushing away. So here's a question for you. Have you ever felt like you're carrying emotional weight that isn't fully yours? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Karmic loops are those emotional and spiritual cycles that keep us stuck, repeating the same experiences over and over again. It's like climbing the same mountain again and again until the lesson isn't just understood in your mind, but deeply felt and lived in your body. When we finally face these patterns without fear, resistance, or judgment, something powerful happens. The patterns lose their grip. We're no longer controlled by the past. So, how can you tell when that shift has really happened? How do you know when the karmic loop has finally broken and your soul has let go of the weight it's carried for so long? Let's explore 4 clear signs that your karmic debt has been cleared, and you're now stepping into a new cycle of renewal and growth. Sign number 1. You stop repeating the same emotional patterns. Maybe you used to attract the same kind of people or go through the same painful situations, abandonment, betrayal, rejection, or even self-sabotage. It was like the same pain kept showing up, just in different forms. No matter how much you changed your surroundings, the same emotional story kept playing out. But then, something begins to shift. You're no longer caught in the loop. You recognize red flags earlier, not just in your mind, but deep in your body. You feel that uneasy sensation before things go wrong. This time, you pause. You choose differently. And for the first time, your body doesn't go into panic or survival mode. You don't need to force yourself to walk away. You just know it's time. Not because you're trying hard to break the pattern, but because the version of you who needed that old pattern is simply gone. You've grown. You've changed. Have you ever felt like you've finally broken a pattern that used to control you? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's karma. Karma isn't just about what happens to you, it's about the hidden patterns in your mind that keep repeating over and over until you finally notice them, understand them, and begin to heal. When you shine a light on what was hidden inside, the pattern loses its power. You stop calling it fate. You call it growth. And with that growth comes a quiet kind of freedom. Sometimes you might feel sadness, not just for the pain you went through, but for how long you stayed in it. But there's also grace in that moment. You may even find yourself forgiving people you never thought you could. That doesn't mean you excuse what they did. It simply means you've taken your power back. They no longer get to shape your story. The past stops being a place you live from and becomes something you've lived through. And that's the first sign that your karmic debt is being cleared. You no longer feel tied to the things that once trapped you. The story that used to define your emotional life becomes just that, a story, a memory, not a magnet. You don't need to keep revisiting the same chapter to prove you've learned. You've already learned. You've lived the answer. You've become the change. Sign number 2. You feel a deep peace that doesn't depend on your circumstances. Once you've broken the emotional cycle and stopped reacting to the same old patterns, something surprising happens. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, like a long-held breath finally being released. You sit alone, maybe with a cup of tea, maybe watching the sky, and you notice something. You're not anxious. You're not bracing for the next emotional storm. You're not scanning your surroundings, waiting for something to go wrong. You're just here, still, calm, peaceful. And it's not because life has become perfect. It hasn't. But your relationship to life has changed. Carl Jung believed that the soul doesn't crave perfection, it craves wholeness. And wholeness doesn't mean everything is fixed. It means nothing inside you is being ignored anymore. You've accepted it all. Have you ever experienced a moment of real inner peace, even when life wasn't perfect? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how that felt for you. When karmic debt is still active in your mind, it can feel like you're stuck in a constant tug-of-war with yourself. You might swing between guilt and defensiveness, fear and the need to control. There's a tension inside, a restlessness that keeps you alert, almost on edge, without fully understanding why. This is your unconscious mind stirring things up, keeping you in survival mode. But when karmic energy finally completes its cycle, when the lesson is no longer just learned but truly embodied, something inside begins to settle. It's like a lake after a long storm. The waves calm and slowly, everything becomes clear again. This peace doesn't mean you stop feeling sad or frustrated. You still face challenges, but there's no inner chaos fueling them anymore. You don't see tough times as punishments. You no longer ask, "What did I do wrong to deserve this?" You simply meet life as it comes without needing to defend, explain, or fix yourself. That's how you know something deep has shifted. And maybe the most powerful sign of all, you don't have to perform your peace. You're not trying to convince others or yourself that you're okay. You just are. There's a quiet trust inside you now, gentle but solid. A sense that no matter what life throws at you, you will remain whole. You're no longer spinning around a wound. You've found your center. This stillness, the deep, unshakable presence beneath the noise, is the second sign that your karmic debt is clearing. It's not loud, but it's unmistakable. It's your soul finally exhaling. Sign number 3, you start receiving without struggle. Once that deep inner peace settles, the kind that doesn't depend on controlling everything, life starts to meet you differently. After years of overworking, overgiving, and constantly trying to prove yourself, you notice something begin to shift. Things start arriving more easily, not because you've stopped making an effort, but because you're no longer resisting. You're not pushing upstream anymore. You're allowing life to carry you. Where love once felt like something you had to earn, now it simply shows up. Where opportunities once felt blocked, they begin to unfold naturally. It's the same world, but now you're open to receiving. You're not chasing, you're attracting. Carl Jung spoke about how the unconscious mind doesn't just hold personal memories, it shapes how we experience the outside world. When unresolved karma lives in your unconscious, it becomes a filter, one that distorts how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve. You may have blocked your own blessings without even knowing it, not because you didn't want abundance, but because deep down part of you believed you didn't deserve it. Feelings like guilt, shame, or even ancestral trauma can create invisible walls around your potential. But when those karmic stories are healed, when the lessons are fully lived and the past no longer defines you, your energy changes. You stop attracting situations that mirror your old wounds. Have you noticed moments when things started flowing more easily in your life without struggle or force? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know what that shift looked like for you. And maybe the most important part, you stop choosing the struggle. This isn't about magical thinking. You still show up. You still put in the effort. But the pain, the push, the constant uphill climb no longer defines your path. You stop needing to overgive just to be loved. You stop chasing people or situations that can't see your worth. And without even realizing it at first, you begin to receive not as a reward for your suffering, but as a natural rhythm of a soul that's finally free. Good things start to flow into your life. And this time, you don't flinch. When people offer love, you don't question whether you deserve it. You accept it, not with suspicion, but with quiet gratitude. This is the third sign your karmic debt is clearing. Life begins to reflect your inner transformation. Grace finds you, and for the first time, you don't push it away. You don't wait for the moment it disappears. You let it stay because deep down something inside you finally believes it's safe to receive. Not because you fought harder, but because you became the version of yourself who no longer needs to fight. Sign number 4. You feel pulled toward purpose, not survival. Once you've found peace, once the struggle begins to soften and life feels less like a battlefield, something new begins to rise. It's not loud or urgent. It's quiet, gentle. A different kind of hunger begins to stir. You're no longer focused on fixing yourself, chasing success, or protecting your heart at all costs. That tight grip on life begins to loosen. And then you hear the question, what am I really here for? This shift can be subtle. Maybe you feel drawn to something creative. Maybe you want to help others walking the same path you once did. Your pain stops being the center of your story and instead becomes a tool, a map for someone else's healing. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That journey begins the moment your soul is no longer trapped in old karmic loops, when fear no longer drives your choices and authenticity starts to lead the way. When karma is still active, life feels reactive. You're constantly defending, proving, or avoiding. But when that karma clears, something spacious opens inside you, and in that space, a sense of purpose quietly appears. Not a pressured, urgent purpose. Not the "I must find my calling" or "I'm failing" kind. This purpose is softer. It doesn't demand, it invites. You feel pulled by possibility, not pushed by fear. Have you ever felt that quiet shift from surviving to truly living? From asking, "How do I get through this?" to wondering, "What can I create from this?" Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what's calling you forward. You no longer chase roles or labels just to feel worthy. Instead, You start to live your truth. You speak more freely. You make choices that truly reflect your values. And when you imagine your future, it's not just about getting by, it's about what you'll leave behind. You start to ask yourself, what kind of story do I want to live? What kind of legacy do I want to create? This is the fourth sign your karmic debt is clearing. You're no longer driven by fear, you're guided by purpose. Purpose becomes your compass. Life is no longer about avoiding pain or failure. It's about building, sharing, creating. You're no longer proving your worth. You know your worth. And that knowing gives you the freedom to live with intention, to serve from the heart, and to create from a place of peace. Now, take a breath. Because this isn't just something to understand, it's something to feel. True transformation doesn't end with insight. It asks to be lived, to be embodied. You've come a long way. You've released weight that was never fully yours. So before you keep going, give yourself a moment to pause. Let yourself feel what freedom actually feels like. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart and tune into that part of you that has lived through lifetimes of pain, love, regret, and resilience. Feel the echoes of all the choices, all the lessons, the burdens you carried without even knowing why. Now gently ask yourself, what karmic pattern have I released? What part of me feels lighter, open, finally free? And what new story is waiting to begin from this clean slate? Tonight, if it feels right, light a candle, not in grief, but in quiet reverence. Let it be your ceremony, a soft way of honoring that something old has ended. The cycles are complete. You owe nothing more. You are free. And now, in this open space within you, ask, what would it look like to live from soul, not survival? What would it mean to choose from clarity, not karma? Karma is not a punishment. It's a mirror, one that reflects all the parts of us we've yet to understand, to heal, to bring into the light. But when you meet your patterns with honesty and grace, when you choose differently, even when it hurts, the mirror fades, and what remains is you, clear, whole, shining through. If life feels lighter now, if your heart feels calmer, if the same old pain no longer pulls you back, it's more than just growth, it's liberation. You've ended something ancient, and what lies ahead is not payback, it's purpose. So walk forward, not as someone running from the past, but as someone finally becoming who they were always meant to be. This is Echoes of Psyche, where we don't just heal, we remember.